monk, I just had the feeling that I wanted to find out a bit more about mindfulness. During the time when the monk was with us, during the retreat, which I've described in I Met a Monk, he did talk about mindfulness a bit. I had been practicing before that myself because, mindfulness was such a buzzword and I knew mindfulness was a good thing to do, and I tried it. But I found it really difficult. I found it terribly boring, all this, notice what you're doing while you clean your teeth and all that kind of thing. It just didn't thrill me at all, and I'd just about given it up. And then the monk, during the course of the lessons we had on the retreat, said to us all, follow your breath when you're being mindful. So I started doing that a little bit, just breathing and trying to allow that to help my mindfulness. And it was as if a light had gone on, really. It really made mindfulness come alive, and I began to really enjoy it. So after the retreat had finished with the monk, I decided to look into mindfulness a bit more, and the breathing. You see mindfulness everywhere. Books on mindfulness are just everywhere you look. But how many of them ever mention the Buddha? It's amazing how anyone can write a book on mindfulness without mentioning the Buddha, who started the whole thing, which I'll come back to in a minute. I do not know. Anyway, once I started the breathing, which was the Buddha's way of being mindful, everything changed for me. It's changed my life. I'll come back to that again in a minute. And we will have a little practice too with the breathing. But the thing about the breathing was I looked into it, and I found that the Buddha gave a talk called the Anapanasati Sutta one night of the full moon with hundreds of people sitting waiting. The Buddha gave this beautiful, beautiful talk about mindfulness breathing, and that is where mindfulness comes from, and that is what my book is based on. And it's in the way that the Buddha teaches it is at the beginning of my book. There are 16 ways of breathing, and actually you only really need one to get, because everything's based on that. But 16 show how you can affect every single aspect of your life by mindfulness breathing. And I've done them very simply in the book. They affect body, feelings, mind, and then of course spirit. And you've got a whole lot there. Anyway, to come back to it, so the Buddha gave us mindfulness, and it changed my life when I realised this, and I began to do it regularly. I was doing it every day. I was practicing. You just start breathing very simply, and then you carry it through your life. Perhaps you'd like to do a breath now. Do you think right now we'll do a breath? Okay, many of you may know it anyway. When you do mindfulness breathing, you notice the breath going in your nose or in your nostrils. If you can't feel it on your nostrils, then you notice it where it goes. It's all about what you're feeling now. You don't imagine anything, you don't criticize yourself, you keep your mind right out of it. You just feel what's actually happening. I'll do one for you. Go, feel it going in, and then go down and out. And if you really notice what's happening, you can't think about anything, because it just puts you into a place of peace. And that's all there is to it. And that's the basis actually of meditation as well. When you can do that, it changes your life, and it's changed my life. Let's just do it. We'll all take a breath together. And you look down slightly, almost as if you're looking down your nose. And you breathe in, and then out through your nose. And you do it again. Just feel it going in, and then out. Let's do another. It's so peaceful. Let's do another. Now that's very, very simple. But I hope just even doing that, you'll have a taste of what you can experience through mindfulness breathing. I find now that I take a mindfulness breath if I'm worried, if I'm afraid of something, if I feel I'm angry, whatever is taking my peace away. If I think of it, and I don't always remember, but I try to, I just take a mindfulness breath. It's absolutely amazing how you immediately find peace. Now, I've described this in the book, and how to breathe. I've told you already roughly how to do it, but it's in the book, and I've suggested you practice, and just a minute of mindfulness breathing to start with, and that seems quite a lot when you first start. You may find you take 5 or 6 breaths. Your breathing will slow as you do it, and if thoughts come in, which they may, then just go back to your breathing. Don't think, oh, I shouldn't be thinking this, and oh, bother, I've messed it up. Don't think any of that stuff. Don't think, am I doing this right? Just do it. Just notice what you're breathing, notice the moment. And once you can do that, you can extend the breath. It's almost like a camera lens. You can, once you're used to your breathing, you can extend it to anything you want to. You can encompass your body. As you breathe, you can then feel how your body's feeling at that moment. Or you can feel what's going on in your head. You can just be in your mindfulness piece, but you can extend it to other things. It sounds a little complicated when I say it, perhaps, but it's all very clear in the book. And the Buddha went through all the 4 aspects, as I say, of life in which we can use our mindfulness breathing. And in the book, there are exercises for each of those. Your body, your feelings, as the Buddha called them, your mind, and then the more spiritual aspect as you really begin to let go and get into a really deep meditation state. This breathing is actually the basis of meditation, and meditation is really only joined up mindfulness breathing. And I think if you're like me, the more you do it, the more you'll find you want to do it. Start with a minute. I read somewhere that if you do 10 minutes of mindfulness a day, they've found in experiments that it actually affects your health and your life generally. It's very beneficial. I found it difficult to do it for 10 minutes to start with, but then I thought, if I do it for 1 minute 10 times a day, maybe that will work. And that's what I started to do. I have a watch that pings. You may even hear it, actually. I haven't turned the ping off. It pings on the hour, and I set it so it would do that. So every hour I would do 1 minute of mindfulness breathing throughout the day. That's how I really got it going for myself. And now I just find I think about it in the day anyway, and I just do it. But that was the way I did it, and then after a while I extended that time to 2 minutes 5 minutes in the morning, so I was doing little periods of meditation too. It's a very beautiful way to get yourself into meditation, and you're just extending the mindfulness and extending that beautiful spiritual contact that way. For some of you may know from my books, I've been doing all this during the time that my husband was very ill with dementia, which came on very suddenly, and then he was in the hospital, and I was visiting him every day there. And then, particularly when I was writing Every Breath, he was in a nursing home, and I was again visiting him every day there. And I don't know how I would ever have got through that time if it hadn't been for the breathing and the beautiful spiritual contact. Actually, a lot of the care staff were doing the breathing too. They found out what I was doing, and we were all sort of doing it. It seemed to affect the whole ward. And then eventually he did slip away about a year ago, and again the breathing has helped me enormously to find peace during that time. So it's been well and truly tested by me through the most difficult time in my life. Yes. Mindfulness certainly calms you down and relaxes you. I think it affects the chemical balance of your brain. It's been found to be very useful for depression. You have to look up the research really, but there are many, many areas of medicine that it has actually helped, and are continuing to experiment. Particularly, people notice an ease of stress. That's one of the very first things. And depression, as I say, is one of the other things they've noticed. And it takes about 10 to 12 weeks of doing about 10 minutes a day, and then you begin to see results. I haven't actually had those particular conditions. I've tested it out through the pain and stress of my husband's illness and death. So for me, it had an enormously helpful effect, making me feel peaceful. Peace is the thing I've noticed most. Just feeling I could cope, really. It gives you a kind of, almost like an air balloon that you're on, you feel cushioned in a strange kind of a way. That's been my experience anyway. Might tense or relax when tense when we're breathing in and relax when we're breathing out. I don't know. I'm not sure I'm not a medical person, and I don't really know medically why it works. For me, it's been personal experience that it's really helped me. I think you do relax as you breathe out. You relax your body when you're doing the breathing, and in the book I've actually given exercises for the body, breathing exercise again from the Buddha, to enable you to relax and for your body to benefit from the breathing. As I said, that it affects body, feelings, mind and spirit, and in the book there are chapters, little chapters. It's a short book and it won't overburden you like reading it. There's little chapters on each of those. One of the things you can do with the body, you can try it out and it just shows how well it works, is to do a mindfulness walk or a walking meditation, and you just notice first of all your breathing, and then you notice your feet on the ground and the motion of walking, and you sense the air on your face if you're outside, and that's a wonderful way of grounding yourself, bringing yourself peace, and experiencing the benefit of the mindfulness breathing in a very practical way. You can do it wherever you're walking, and it's really helpful. He gave, as I say, the time of the full moon, particularly for the men who were studying his teaching and wanting to become monks, but it was open to a whole crowd of people, and it was a nice full moon. I've got the actual thing he said right here in the book. It's called the Anapanasati, as I said, and it's this is how it goes. This is how we do it. It's breathing in, I know I am breathing in. This is number one. So you say to yourself, breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Really what we've done, but those are the words you can use. I find if I've said that once or twice, then I just can continue without saying the words. And it's the same, then you say, breathing, it's breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. So I should have said that too. And then it's, number two is, breathing in, I know I am breathing in a long breath or a short breath, just to make you notice the sort of breath you're taking. And breathing out, I know I am breathing out a long or a short breath. It's just to focus our mind on the breathing. Once you've been doing it for a bit, you don't have to say that at all, but it's when you start off to get you aware of the breath. And it doesn't matter whether it's a long or a short breath. You're not saying you have to be doing a long or a short breath. It's noticing the breath and not criticising it, not judging it. I never think whether it's long or short, to be honest. I just notice the breath. But that is the Buddha telling us to be aware of the breath. And then the next one is breathing in, I am aware of the whole of my body. This is where we're taking it more into our body. Breathing out, I'm aware of the whole of my body. What I was mentioning just now, extending your awareness of the breath to your body. Just feeling your body, feeling the breath first and then feeling your body. That's how you do that. And then the next one is breathing in. This is lovely, I love this one. Breathing in, I calm the whole body. Breathing out, I calm the whole body. Isn't that what we all need at the end of a busy day, or any time at all? And it does that. And by the way, the Buddha said to say the, because we're not being attached to the body or the breath. We're saying the, because we're noticing it. We're not judging it, we're not possessing it, we're just noticing it. So those are the ones connected with the body. And then we go on for our feelings. I won't go through the whole of this because it's in the book, but just to give you a taste of the feelings. It's breathing in, I feel happy. Breathing out, I feel happy. Now you may say to yourself, I don't feel happy, what's it on about? And maybe you don't. But when you're learning it, it's to help us get in touch with our feelings. And it's easier to get in touch with a happy feeling than with a sad feeling. I've explained all this in the book. And in the book, I've done a section on ways to make yourself feel happy. Little things you can do in your life to encourage feelings of happiness, and then you'll find you can do this. You will be happy. You'll be able to touch that quality of happiness. And once you've got in touch with that feeling, next time we go on to bliss. Breathing in, I feel bliss. Breathing out, I feel bliss, which might be stretching it a bit, but try it and see. And then after that, it's breathing in, I'm aware of the feeling that is present now. Having tried with the happiness, then we're more comfortable about touching our feelings or sensing our feelings, so we can be aware of our feelings generally. And if there's other feelings that are not so nice, we're at the point where we can actually handle them because we're used to opening our awareness to our feelings. And I won't go on completely with this, but I'll just give you the next one. This one is breathing in, I calm the feeling that is present now. So we're not doing anything really, we're not really imposing ourselves, we're just noticing calm of the feeling. You'll find when you do it, you will be very much aware of how breathing you can get that sense of calm. And then so on, we go on and we go to the same things about worry that's in the mind, and then finally a letting go generally and getting really deep into our spiritual centre, which is where the breath takes us eventually. But it's in the book. I won't go on ad nauseam, but that's a taste of it. I've heard of people losing consciousness when they really calm themselves down very, very much. I know the verge of that feeling because I've experienced that when I've been breathing, because you can get very still and quiet and have a big pause between breaths. I don't think there's any reason why that would be harmful. I'm not a medical person, but I haven't taken it to the extent of loss of consciousness, so I honestly don't know. But I think yogis do it. They do it. They get completely. They hardly breathe at all. So I think that there's a tradition of doing that. It's not something I've very much experienced myself, though, I have to say, except a long pause between breaths, but not exactly loss of consciousness. Inverted commas, loss of consciousness goes too far. I personally would not advise that. I feel that this breathing, the Buddha's method, is for us being mindful of the breath and then extending that to our life generally. And we do touch peace inside, but I personally would not advise getting too far into that state. I think it's better to make it a part of your life and have a period of meditation in the day, but I wouldn't go into the too far along the unconscious path. Of meditating. For a long time, when I was working in the White Eagle Lodge where I was brought up, I did visualization meditation. That's described as meditation. Since I've been doing the mindfulness, my meditation has become much easier and more pleasant for me to do. It takes me really to a space inside where there's complete peace. There are different routes of meditation. There's so many things that are described as meditation. I trust the Buddha completely with this. He brought the world mindfulness, and his meditation is mindfulness. His original meditation is based on mindfulness. I think some of the later versions of Buddhism have expanded and changed from that, but I personally feel that the original mindfulness of the Buddha, which is extended into meditation, is the way that I like to meditate. It's safe, it's kind of clean, and it's been tried and tested over the years. So that would be my recommendation. I think it's very easy to get distracted by all sorts of other things in meditation, and then your mind is off the real thing, which is connecting with your own spirit, which is there, but it's connecting with the deepest part of yourself. What I love about the mindfulness breathing is that it does take us right to that heart, our spirit, which then expands on its eternal spirit. That's where the last 4 breathing exercises of the 16 that the Buddha gave come into play. I mean, it's when he says, I'll just move the place again, but basically you're opening yourself to spirit. I'm just trying to find where it says. I've lost the page now, but it's you open yourself to the universe, to everything, and you're not aware of being one anymore. You're part of the whole. I can't find this. I'd like to find this where he said the quote, which I was reading just now. But basically, that's what we're doing, and that is, to me, what meditation's all about. It's just finding spirit and our place in it, and that wonderment that brings. These things are so hard to put into words, aren't they? But if you do it, you will begin to experience a touch of that, I'm sure. I've told you the breathing in for the body. We did, didn't we? And we talked about breathing in for the feelings. I'm happy and so. The next one is we're onto the mind next. You might as well go through them all. We've got halfway through. Breathing in, I'm aware of the mind. Breathing out, I'm aware of the mind. That's the thought, and particularly our worries and all of that. Breathing in, I make my mind happy. Again, we're soothing our mind. Breathing out, I make my mind happy. Breathing in, I liberate my mind. I've explained these throughout the book, much more than I've got time to do now. And breathing out, I liberate my mind. Breathing in, now here we come, I observe the impermanence of life, which you will get to when you've gone through the breathing. Breathing out, I observe the impermanence of life. We're getting more in touch with spirit at this point. And then number 13 is, is 14. Breathing in, I observe the disappearance of desire. We're beginning to get completely detached from our feelings. And breathing out, I observe the disappearance of desire. And then 15 is, oh, this is so beautiful, this one. Breathing in, I observe cessation. Breathing out, I observe cessation. That is so peaceful. And yet everything kind of opens up at that stage. It's such a beautiful feeling. And then breathing in, I observe letting go. Breathing out, I observe letting go. And we're letting go of matter, and we're really in touch with spirit. If you go through the exercises, do the breathing, you don't even have to do them all actually. As you do the breathing, being mindful, you will find that you become more peaceful and you experience that sense of spirit, your own sense of spirit, and a letting go of worry and of material things. It's a wonderful process.